these amazing veterans that are doing great work in the community. And our guest today is Scott DeLuzio. And Scott is a veteran podcaster, has a veteran podcast and a book. Scott, thanks for stopping by. Tell me why you decided to kind of be in the public eye after, retiring and moving on from the military.
Yeah, first off, thank you for having me on the show. I'm really glad to be here. But to your question, why get out into the public eye? It kind of seems like once you're done, put it behind you and move on, right? But after coming back from Afghanistan in 2010, my deployment there in 2010, um, I dealt with a bunch of my own issues, PTSD and grief of loss and things like that. Um, but I noticed a lot of other guys were dealing with it too. And we started actually losing some of the guys that I served with after we came home and they were taking their own lives. And obviously, one is too many. But when those numbers start ticking up, it just got me thinking that I can't just sit around waiting for another phone call telling me that another friend is gone. And I needed to do something. And I said, well, what's the best way to reach a large number of people? Because it wasn't just the guys that I served with that were having problems. It was people throughout the entire military and veteran communities. And so I was like, how do I reach as many people as possible? And I said, well, a podcast, it's pretty low barrier to entry. Anyone can access it as long as they have, an internet connection, a phone, a computer, whatever. They can access those things. It's free and whatnot. So why not do that? So I had one problem. I didn't have a clue what I was doing as far as podcasting goes, and technology and all that kind of stuff that goes into it. And there's a lot for anyone who hasn't done a podcast, but I was determined to just figure it out because I believe in this so much that there are resources out there to help people. It's not You're not limited to the VA for your options for mental health treatment or even your physical health or any other issues that you might be dealing with. There's many organizations out there that can help you. Plus, I wanted to share stories of other veterans who maybe went through hell and back, and they could share their inspirational stories to hopefully give some people some hope and encouragement that maybe there is a brighter future ahead for them, that they don't have to call it quits early. We can keep hanging on, and we don't have to give up like that. So really that was my motivation, and that was about 6 years ago that I started the podcast, and I've been doing it consistently ever since. And I don't see myself slowing down anytime soon. It's a lot of work, but it's fulfilling work, and
So,
it's
yeah.
something that I believe in.
So, what kind of guests do you have on the podcast?
Oh, we have all sorts of guests. We have veterans who've been there and done that. They've been to combat. They've seen the worst of the worst, and they share their stories and they talk about those types of things. We also have people who are representatives of nonprofits and other organizations like that will will help veterans with maybe retreats to take them out to help just get away from the world for a minute and kind of slow down and reflect on what's going on and clear their minds and help them uh, learn some coping strategies with the things that they might be dealing with. People who take veterans out on hunting trips or teach them how to surf or teach them how to ride horses, and all those things could be alternative methods of healing, musical therapy or painting, artwork, those types of things. All are different things that might work for some people, might not work for everybody, but might work for some people. And very often organizations like the VA, their budgets are stretched thin. They don't have the budgets to do all these things, and so we talk about all those types of things as well. And we also talk to survivors, the parents and family members, maybe spouses of the loved ones who unfortunately took their lives, and just to kind of emphasize the impact that there are people, as much as you might think, hey, I'm a burden to my family for whatever issues I'm going through, you're not. Those people actually care, and they want you to stick around. So we want to share those messages too.
Right. And what has been the feedback? You've been doing this for how long now? So,
Yeah.
what kind of feedback are you getting?
Yeah, for about 6 years now, I've been doing this, and the feedback has been great. The people who listen to it, I get these messages every so often. Uh, Someone will say, "Hey, that episode on whatever the topic was, I needed to hear that today. I was struggling. I was having a rough time, and I just needed to hear that." And so that to me, like when I started it, I said, "Hey, if I can help one person, then
Right.
mission accomplished, right?" And so when I get messages like that, I'm like, "Okay, that's my one person. Who's my next person? Let's move on and get that next person, right?" Um, and then, uh, yeah, just that those kind of messages just fuel my fire and make me keep wanting put more episodes out there because you never know who you're going to reach with these
Oh,
episodes.
totally. What is your ultimate goal with the podcast?
Ultimate goal is to really just help veterans, uh, lower the number of veteran suicides, help them find resources, be a resource for them to help connect them to other resources. They can hear straight from the source of the people who are running some of these organizations to say, hey, you know what, this guy doesn't sound like he's a good fit for me, or this person sounds like an exactly the right fit for me. And you get to listen to these people for 45 minutes to an hour or so when we're talking, and you get to hear their background story. You get to hear what they went through. Why did they create this organization? Who are they helping? And maybe some of the success stories as well that come out of it. So you know that it's not just, someone blowing smoke trying to, put their name out there just to get their 15 minutes of fame or whatever, but they're actual people who actually care and actually are going to do the
Yes.
work to help people. And that's what I want to do is I want to get that message out there to people.
And it sounds like it. And you're definitely on that right track of where you're going. So the goal is just to get the message, help certain amount of people. Uh, People like, have you really connected with a lot of communities and stuff that are sharing the podcast and giving it to other places for people can listen?
You know, that's something that I am working on. This has all been a work in progress for me, kind of learning as you go. And I'm realizing, I need to reach out more to different communities and get in front of these people to really help share the message. Whether they're groups on Facebook or their VFW halls in local areas or something, people that I could just talk to and share the message with those types of people who would be interested in the content that we have to offer and just spread that awareness through those types of groups.
That awareness is huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very, very important to do that. And the more places that can get that information, tell us about your book now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so my book, I wrote my book. It's called Surviving Son, and the title, well, actually, I'll get to the title in a second here, but the book is really about my deployment to Afghanistan in 2010, which I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
My younger brother, he also was deployed to Afghanistan, also at the same time in 2010, and he unfortunately didn't make it home. He was killed in
So
action while we
sorry.
were over there,
No.
and so that had a profound impact on me and my life, and really changed the trajectory of just my vision for the future. I had a vision of, he was always just like a constant in my life. He was always
Right.
there. And, he was going to get married. He was going to, maybe have kids and all those kind of things. And that's the way I envision the future is, my kids will be able to play with his kids and they'll grow up together and we'll hang out. We'll just we'll get old together and we'll have a good time. And all that was ripped away. And so, part of what I wanted to do with this book is share the reality of war, put a name to the face, and um, let people know that when you hear about these deaths in the news, usually there's a news segment. It's 30 seconds to a minute long or so. It's real short. They just gloss over it,
Right.
and then it's over. And very often, we sit there and think to ourselves, hey, you know what? That's somebody else's problem. That's another family. That's not gonna happen to me. That's other people's problems. Um, and then that was very much the way I thought of it. I was very ignorant, even though I knew we were going into combat. I knew it was dangerous. I just never suspected that something bad would happen to somebody that I knew, my brother especially. Didn't even honestly didn't even cross my mind. And we were in probably arguably one of the most dangerous places in the world that you could be in at the time, and just really didn't even cross my mind that would be something that would happen to him. And when it did, all of a sudden I realized, well, shoot, I am those other people,
Right.
and um, it's real. And so I wanted to tell the story, give the background of, who he was, give, childhood upbringing and the type of person that he
Right.
was, all that kind of stuff, and share, exactly what took place and how that combat mission took place uh, that ended up ultimately taking his life, and also how it affected us, how it affected me, my family, my parents, and other folks in our lives who were seriously impacted by this. And part of the reason is, I want to make sure that, in the future, going forward, if we are to send our men and women into combat, I'm not anti-war by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
By all means, I understand it has its time and its place, but let's make sure it better be worth it. Because if we're going to be sending people home in, body bags, let's make sure it's we're fighting for something that's
Makes
worthwhile.
sense. Yeah, absolutely. Um, it, what do you do as your day job? What
Yeah, sure. So my day job, I work for a business consulting firm. We specialize in lean consulting. Some people kind of refer to it as Six Sigma. It's different from that, but it's lean is kind of has its origins from the Toyota production system. But essentially, what we try to do is eliminate waste from the processes in businesses and in their in the organization. So they run more efficiently. They reduce lead times and that type of thing. So we have a lot of work. We have work with international clients, huge global clients, and so that's something I've been doing now for the last few years, and it's it's fulfilling because you get to see just how much time and
right.
resources and energy people have been wasting, and then you could see them kind of like take a sigh of relief, like, hey, I don't have to go fight those fires anymore. We solved that problem. We don't have to do that anymore, and it's kind of nice to be able to see that type of thing.
Is that your business or you work?
No, I work for a consulting firm. It's called Lean Horizons Consulting, and it's been around since the early 2001, I believe, is when it began. So almost 25 years now it's been around. But the folks who work for the company, they've been doing this type of work. They learned directly from the folks over at Toyota, and
Oh
they
wow.
traveled to Japan and learned from them. And so they've been doing that since maybe the late 80s, early 90s time period, and they ended up starting the company in the early 2000s, and it's just really been a great ride ever since.
Where can you check out the podcast? Best places.
Best place, driveonpodcast.com is the website. Anywhere that you listen to podcasts, you can find it there. Or YouTube has the video version. Social media, we're all over social media, posts, short clips for the episode, so you can kind of check those out, see if you, be interested in the episode, beforehand. But and all the social media handles are Drive On Podcast, so it should be pretty easy to find. But yeah, driveonpodcast.com is probably the best place to find that.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.